Ladies and gentlemen, howdy and aloha. We are here, you are there, and you are now rocking with the best. Thank you for tuning into another live episode of Airey Bros Radio. Tonight we're going belly to belly with the coaches of the top NAIA wrestling programs in the country for a full 2025-2026 season preview. Before we get rolling, y'all know the drill. This is a value for value show. So if you're getting any value out of anything we're doing over here, please give us a little love, send a little value back. Click on that link in the show notes and buy us a coffee. Make sure you hammer that like button and are subscribed on YouTube. Drop a comment. Every view, review, and share helps us grow and get back to the sports we love. Follow us on Instagram at Airey Bros Radio. Subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. This episode is fueled by Black Sheep Endurance for all your coaching and nutrition needs. And let's not forget why we're here, folks. We're here to shine a light on the programs, coaches, and athletes we wish we had access to growing up. If you're a wrestler or a parent looking for the next level fit, you're in the right place. All right, folks, here's what we got going on for tonight's lineup. From 7 to 7:20, we're going to be checking in with Coach Grant Henderson at Grandview. They are the #1 ranked program. Coach Henderson himself was a 3-time NAIA finalist and a 2-time NAIA national champion, a longtime assistant under Coach Nick Mitchell, and now the leader of the #1 program in the country. Grant has been part of multiple national championship teams. He's helped build the championship lifestyle culture and now takes the reins as Grandview enters a new era. From 7:20 to 7:40, we've got Life University Associate Head Coach Jake Laden, who helped guide Life to an NAIA national runner-up finish last season. He coached 10 All-Americans, 2 national champions, included undefeated NAIA Wrestler of the Year Jesse Perez, and helped build both Ottawa and Grandview. He's a rising star in the NAIA coaching ranks. From 7:40 to 8 o'clock, we're heading to Florida with the return of guest and friend Coach Travis Patrick of Southeastern University. Under the leadership, the Fire have stacked 4 straight top 4 finishes at nationals, 35-plus national qualifiers, 18 All-Americans, a multiple national champs, one of the most complete programs in the NAIA on the mat and academically. And from 8 to 8:20, we're closing out the night with Indiana Tech head coach Thomas Pompei, entering his 10th year at the helm. Under Pompei, Tech has become a national powerhouse with 90-plus national qualifiers, 35-plus All-Americans, 8 national champs, multiple WHAC titles, and a consistent top 10 finishes, the definition of long-term program building done right. Let's get into it.
Coach Henderson, how we doing, sir?
Good. How are you guys?
Awesome. Thank you for joining us tonight. I know you got a match tomorrow, so thanks for making time for us.
Yeah, man. I'm glad we were able to make this work, so I'm excited.
Yeah, so how has things been since you took over the helm?
It's been busy, it's pretty quick, with everything, but it's been good. We got a really mature group, a bunch of, great assistant coaches, and man, I'm lucky.
So you said it's been quick. When did you know you were getting the head coach position, and have you been able to kind of take off that hat as the assistant and take over the helm as how you would want to run the program?
So I was actually gone. I was on my honeymoon slash 1 year with my wife because we had a little girl. So we kind of spaced it out and we were waiting to do it after our wedding. And so I found out the Thursday I got back. So man, when was that? I'm looking at my calendar as we speak. It was would have been the 2nd of October, So I got back and he told me, and we had that month, he was like, I'm gonna be around for this month and just kind of get you up to speed. So it was and then I was like, well, you mean next year? He's like, no, it's like now. And so it was quick, but like I said, I was lucky to have him in my corner.
Has it Have you been able to focus on stuff outside of the X's and O's? Were you prepared for the CEO sort of aspect of the role?
Yeah. So we just had our Grandview Open. We also do a kids tournament. So some of this last week was it's kind of busy just with that, So now I'm dealing with a little bit more of the CEO style business that we gotta take care of and tend to. But um no, man, I think, a lot of my time under Coach Mitchell and with Coach Reedy was kind of grooming me for this, and getting me ready to go and without even knowing it, and so I think, again, I have great support with my AD and our assistant AD here. So kind of hit the ground running. It's been a good process.
How's the season been going so far since you took over?
Good. So like I said, we had our Grandview Open and that was massive. It was good. Our guys competed well. We got a duel Thursday actually, so it's coming up, and so we're just full steam ahead, man. It hasn't really given me a whole lot of time to sit back and be like, okay, well, what now? I gotta keep moving, and we got things on the calendar, and I kind of like that. It's not time to waste. We gotta go to work
Yeah, sometimes it's better that way, isn't it?
for sure. Yeah, and I handle and operate well under pressure, so I like that.
Yeah. Who is the duel against on Thursday?
Baker University, so it'll be at home.
Okay.
Yeah, first home duel of the year, and my first home duel as head coach, and it'll be good, man. I'm excited. Our guys are excited.
Is the lineup solidified, or are we still kind of feeling things out a little bit?
Yeah, we got it pretty well figured out for this home duel. It'll be a good one. We'll probably wrestle, some guys that maybe haven't wrestled yet. GK, he wrestled at U23s, so we gave him some time to recover and get back, back to everything. So he'll be wrestling Thursday. Yeah, it'll be a pretty good lineup there.
How is the lineup looking? Is it mostly veterans? You got some new guys cracking the lineup this year?
No, so it's kind of a mix, man. We had a lot of guys graduate from our team, from last year's national team. So it opens the door for, guys that have been around, guys that transferring in, just new young guys. It's opportunities for them to step up and see what shakes out with all that. And I'm excited for that. I know the guys like that, and it's gonna be it'll be good.
Coach, I believe the team has won a national title every year since maybe 21 or 22, and I believe that gap around COVID when you guys lost, you had a string going. Do you feel any of that pressure?
I don't think so. I think that's an external. It's kind of made up. For us, it's just handle business the best we can. Day by day, and the rest will take care of itself. I'm preaching to these guys. Just we're trying to incrementally grow. And so can't get caught up in all that. Of course, I wrestled here, so I know people talk about it, and it's one of those things when I came in, the expectations are high, and we talk about like it's going to be demanding here, and guys know that. So I don't think that really affects us. I think it's, we expect to have some of that added pressure. That's who we are, and it doesn't feel like it creeps into affecting us.
I know you explained it a little bit, but how do you win that title every year but not talk about it?
Uh, just get dudes to buy into how we do things and our philosophies, and of course, we get guys that are good wrestlers, right? But we pride ourselves on development, and being able to week by week grow, and you saw it with our guys that wrestled. We wrestled at Friends at the beginning of the month, and then we came and we had Grandview, and you saw big jumps from our young guys, and that's something that I stressed to our coaching staff, and we really hold our hat like on is like being able to develop guys and take whether you're a blue chip recruit, one of the top guys in the country, or you never got what you wanted in high school. We're gonna put time into you, and we're gonna make you better.
When you talk about priding yourself on developing guys, is that something you're looking for guys that have room to grow? Obviously, you said you have blue chip recruits. You'd want to grow everyone, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's one of those ones you want guys with growth mindsets. They got to be coachable. They got to be they want to fight. They want to go, compete hard and train hard and be surrounded by good guys because our room is deep, and that's by design. We want guys that want to be pushed every day. they on and off the mat, trying to find out like ultimately what their best version is. And that scares some guys off and good. They shouldn't come here anyways. If that's a fear for you, this isn't the right place. It is. It's like I said, it's going to be demanding on all fronts. And we lead with that, man. We let our guys know like these are the expectations. These are who we are.
Coach, you talk about that deep lineup, and one of the unique things in the NAI is that you're allowed to bring an extra guy in one of your weight classes. You don't have to tell us who it is or what weight it is, but is that still something that's kind of up in the air, or is that something you've already seen where you might be able to put that extra guy in the lineup?
Yeah, we got a deep lineup, man. It's going to be fluid. It's going to change. And if we set our lineup early, I think it really undervalues the growth, right? Because if we set it now and we then it's our focus isn't growing. It's all right, these are our guys and we're gonna put our time into them. No, man, I want to find out like who can make it through this season, who can continue to get better, who's gonna buy into every aspect and find out, like at the end of the year what this team looks like. And no, nothing's set, and like I said, it's gonna change every day by day and week by week. So yeah, it's a mystery for the world.
Now, is that something in terms of the lineup changing and maybe seeing some growth from another guy, excuse me, in the room? Is that something where you have a wrestle off, or is that like a coach's decision? Like, hey, this is what we're seeing. This guy's looking like he's ready to go. We're gonna make the switch.
No, we don't do wrestle offs very, like we try to avoid them. I think it just one thing we do a really good job of is again letting guys know early on like the room's deep and you should want the best guy at your weight. You should want that as your training partner and you guys go compete against each other in the national finals. And within that, then we eliminate this head to head of like fighting for a spot. Like, dude, I'm gonna help you be the best guy. You and me are gonna wrestle in the finals. We're just gonna be so good that everybody in the country, it's not even close, right? And that's why we consistently have guys competing each other in the finals. And so, but for us, we don't make it like this fight and struggle for the spot. Just be the two best dudes, and make it easy on us. And a lot of the times when we're very tournament based, so it kind of shakes itself out pretty easy by itself, and so we don't have to generally make a gut choice. There's times, of course, it's close and there's probably 14, 15, maybe 16 guys, that are like ready to compete for a title. And sometimes it's tough and you got to make a database decision.
Coach, I know you guys have the opportunity to have two guys in one weight class, but I know as a wrestler, if you were in my weight, I didn't like you. I didn't care what team you were on. I didn't care if you were on my team. I didn't like you. You were in my weight. You were in my way. Do you ever have to mediate between the guys in the same weight classes?
No, not really. I think, for us, it's just we talk about it as a good thing, and of course, man, we tell guys when it's time to compete, and if it's you and me, dude, we're gonna go scrap, and it's not gonna be just kind of feel it out and see what happens. Go be the best match of the tournament. Go put on a show for these people and show them what Grandview wrestling is, and of course, in the moment, we like I said, when we have guys wrestle in the national finals, that is hard because I know one guy's gonna reach where he wants to be at the end of the year, and the other one's falling short, and so again, those guys, it sucks in the moment if they lose, but they know like, hey man, that it's my teammate, and I want the best for him. But it's tough, and we just talk about it as a positive. Go, you two, just be the two best dudes in the country, and then let it fly and let it shake itself out.
Have you had a coach in that experience of two guys in the national finals?
I've never personally sat in the corner. So like when we do that, we kind of just let them pick, one of our volunteer assistants or part-time guys that help out, just so they have somebody there. Because in the moment, you want to look over your corner and get some, positive reinforcement. We just try to stay out of it as us full-time guys. I want to be impartial in that moment.
That's gotta, sorry, Rich. That's gotta be hard, wanting to celebrate for one guy and then having to console the other guy.
Yeah, For sure, man. It's tough, and like I said, one guy's falling short, and so you do your best to reassure him, like, dude, it sucks, I know, but this isn't the is all be all. Wrestling is important to us. It's what we do. Yes, you fell short, but you're still a better man because of this place and this program, and we're going to continue to get better. If you got time left on the clock, let's go widen the gap.
Coach, what are some of the key dates you guys have on the calendar? You say you guys got some tournaments. You have a duel coming up on Thursday. What are the key dates for you guys that you're
Yeah,
looking?
we're looking at, we got a duel this Thursday. We'll send some of our younger guys to down to Cedar Rapids for at a Division III school there, Co College. We'll send some young guys some red shirts. And we got another duel when we get back from Thanksgiving. And then after that it's the Dome Open. So that's generally a pretty NAIA heavy tournament, which is good. We get to go see some guys that maybe haven't seen. And so those are the ones, looming, and looking ahead. And of course, then we got some more, but it's one at a time. And so this week we got Baker and then we got Co.
You have UNK on the schedule this year?
We do, yeah. So we'll actually be traveling to their place. It's looking like January 17th. So yeah, I'm excited. I love that duel. I think it's good for both of us. It's a good test, and I like those guys. I like how they operate. But again, I'm a competitor, so we're gonna go out and scrap.
Are you Iowa born and bred?
I am, yeah. So I'm from Cedar Rapids, so it's about 2 hours east of here. So yeah, Iowa guy, and I've been in Des Moines now. Seems like 14 years roughly. So pretty much call this home.
Okay. What was it about Grandview when you were going through your process that, I mean, obviously the wrestling was a big thing,
Right.
but what about the university drew you to it?
Yeah. Of course, I came from a pretty good high school. It's I've always had good teammates. I wanted to be surrounded by, high level guys. It just was the feel I got from Coach Mitchell, Coach Reedy. I actually came up, it was the first year they did a team camp. So our high school brought a team for duels. And so I got to meet a bunch of the Grandview guys, got to like roll around with them. And I just like hit it off with those guys. It was super cool getting to wrestle with guys that are national champs. And I'm like, all right, this is cool, And then they were like, hey, how about you come back on a visit? And I came back and I got my butt kicked. And I was like, this is it. It wasn't like trying to sell me on, man, you're gonna be a starter. This is gonna be hard, but if you really want to find out how good you can be, you got to have this. And I love that aspect. Coach Mitchell, Coach Reedy, they made me feel like, of course it's gonna be hard, but I can be a part of the picture, and they believed in me. So it was just, of course, and then Des Moines, it was close to home, and being on a smaller campus, but in a city, I think was a unique niche. I was a business major, didn't know what I wanted to do. And it just seemed like if I want to get an internship or, make connections, this is the best place to do it.
So now I think you're going to be putting that business degree to use, huh?
Yeah, man. Yeah, already, So if you love wrestling and you love guys that are raising the level, donate to Grandview Wrestling.
We all be going to national duels?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So I'm working on our schedule as we speak, just like getting it to our guys. So yeah, we'll the 9th, 10th. I love that tournament, man. I love duels. I think it's one of those moments where we're all together, and we just line up and we go scrap, and you just go on it, each guy trying to outdo the next one, and who can score more points, who can put on, a better show, and something goes crazy. Your job is to stay even keel and go take care of business.
They're down south this year, right?
It's actually in Cedar Falls.
Oh, it is in Cedar Falls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love it being there. It's close. I think it's a good situation for everybody flying to Des Moines, and it's only 2 hour drive.
Mhm.
Coach, has there been anything? I know you only took the program over in October, and you said Coach Mitchell really got you prepped to be a head coach. Is there anything that's come to your table yet that you're like, man, I don't want to do this, or oh, I didn't know I had to do this as a head coach?
I actually was on the phone with him today, and just of course, our office is I have this wall here. I'm still unpacking stuff, but Coach Reedy and then my old desk are on the other side here. So I would see guys coming in and out, like, hey, I got to go talk to Coach Mitchell. And the door would shut, they'd have a conversation, door open, and then there's another guy cycling in. And so Coach called me. We were playing phone tag. We called about 5 times today, back and forth, and finally connected. I'm like, I don't know how you did this, man. How'd you get anything done? And he's like, yeah, it's busy. And so, not anything that I wasn't aware of or prepared for, but it's there's a lot, right? And I just, I think sometimes, and maybe like some people are like, you're a young coach. And I really think, Coach Mitchell and Coach Reedy prepared me for this, and I feel like I'm in a good spot, man. And, yeah, they can think I'm young, but don't belittle me. I'm ready.
Are you
Coach, you
30 yet?
What's that?
Are you 30 yet?
I am. I just turned 30 this year, so I'm in my prime. I'm ready,
Yeah,
man.
you're ready.
So
Coach, you talk about that revolving door of kids coming in and having to talk to them. When we had Coach Mitchell on, he obviously talked about championship lifestyle. And Rich might be able to quote this better than I did, but he said about having to talk with a guy that said, "Hey, maybe your girlfriend's not the best thing for you."
yeah, man.
Have you have those talks?
Yesterday. Yeah, I had one. Yeah, man. And of course, these guys it's I was basically telling them, take your emotion out of it, and what are the facts, right? And is this girl good for me? And if not, bye. It's not a big deal. It's okay. And the right ones are going to come into your path, and you just got to attack the direction that you're going, that where facts show you this is the way I should go. And if she comes back into it, great. If she doesn't, then she wasn't meant to be there. So yeah, man, it was yesterday. And so yeah, it's all things that I've heard when I was going through school, and uh just kind of stealing a little bit of it and making it my own.
Amen.
Yeah,
Probably not a
brother.
college athlete if you haven't had that talk.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's been a few times I've had conversations with Mitchell and I'm having flashbacks of maybe I was sitting in that chair getting that conversation. So it is cool. It's a cool flip side.
Coach, is there anything about this year's team or the program at Grandview that we haven't spoke on that you want the audience to know?
Oh man, I mean, one thing is I just want to keep reassuring people, man, I believe in everything Coach Mitchell has built here. 100%. Of course, nothing's the championship lifestyle. I know that's the secret. I know that's the most important part. Um, but I'm me, and I'm going to lead my way. And I think, our guys, they knew who I was. They know how I operate, and I'm excited for this team, man. We just finished up practice, and we're preaching like we're gonna go attack, and we're gonna go find the scores to the next position, and we're just gonna keep wrestling, and I want to see our guys go out there and just let it fly. And dude, that's our goal. We want to just put on a show. We don't want to wrestle conservative. We want to dominate in every facet of life.
That's the kind of wrestling Jimmy and I like to watch, so we
Hey,
appreciate
yeah, you
that.
guys should come on out. Come, we'll have you out for a duel whenever you guys got time.
Heck yeah.
It's been on the list, Coach. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Best of luck during the season, and we'll be watching.
Thanks, man. Go Vikings.
Go Vikings. Good luck Thursday, Coach. Have a
Thanks.
great Thanksgiving.
You as well.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Coach Grant Henderson from Grandview. Now jumping on is Coach Jake Laden from Life University.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yes,
We
sir.
can. How you doing, Coach?
Good. How are you fellas?
Awesome.
Amazing.
Love the hat,
Yeah, I was
sir.
gonna say, how do I get one of those hats?
Oh yeah, I'll have to take my headphones off because I think it's connected. Can you hear me
All
still?
right. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
All right, that's a little better. How's everything going, fellas?
It's great. It's great. How's everything going with you?
Coming back off that trip at Grandview University, out there at the GV Open, and unfortunately I had a severe allergic reaction to who knows what. My eyes were swollen shut, couldn't see too much. But outside of that, got a little tougher over the weekend. Our guys wrestled pretty well, and just trying to get squared away for this week. So.
You have any matches this week?
Yeah, so we have a doubleheader duel tomorrow against Truett McConnell and Andrew College, and then we host our Life U Open and Douglasville, Georgia. So it'll be pretty big open, about 700 athletes. So
Dang.
Coach, that doubleheader tomorrow, correct me if I'm wrong, is that at a brewery?
it is. It is Monday Night Brewery, right down downtown Atlanta on the Beltline.
How'd
Is
you
that
guys get that?
So it was kind of just an idea Coach O came up with. He did a jujitsu tournament, there, and long story short, he's like, "Hey, this would probably be a pretty cool venue to do, something wrestling related." And so, long story short, we called him, we got it figured out, and now we're dueling tomorrow night at 6 p.m. So, real neat, John, too, for sure.
Yeah, we used to live in Denver, and there was a brewery that had it was a professional wrestling event, albeit, but we went to that, and when Jimmy sent me the stuff about the match tomorrow, I was like, oh, that would have been a pretty cool idea to do in Colorado as well too. So that's cool. I imagine
Yeah.
there's going to be a good turnout for it.
No, absolutely, absolutely. We hope so.
Coach, I know you said you were in Grandview this weekend and maybe you had a little bit of an allergy to Iowa, but who were some of the top performers?
So off the top of my head, I know, my 41 pounder that just got eligible, this year. He redshirted last year. Mauro Michel. He's a young man, a JUCO boy out of Southwest Oregon in Coos Bay. A JUCO All-American a few years ago. He's up from 133 to 141. He ended up taking third. He lost to, that gentleman, Poe, that pretty much dominated the bracket. We probably had the closest match with him, but he wrestled really stinking well. Came back and took third for us. Oh, a young guy for us, Conlon Weaver. We call him Tank. Um, he was 57, 65 last year. We decided, hey, we don't want you to cut weight no more. So he's up at 74, and he ended up knocking off the number two ranked gentleman, Sloan from Campbellsville, and he was able to also wrestle, I believe, Melvin, number 12 from University of Cumberland, Kentucky, I believe.
Yes, sir.
But outside of that, we wrestled really well. I think across the board. Reese Jones wrestled really well. Trey Morissette, Kenny Norfleet, pretty much dominated the bracket. 184, we brought two, so we had Kenny Norfleet that won the 184 pound, open division, and then Trey Morissette, his teammate, ended up taking third. Or
Coach,
so, go
sorry,
ahead.
sir.
No, go ahead. Sorry, my apologies.
Is there any other key names we need to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I would say all of them. I would say Michelle Padilla, a gentleman by the name of Rocky Raby. He's a three-time All-American national champ in junior college. Last year he was at St. Thomas University at the Lucha Open this time last year. He actually majored the two-time defending national champ from Division II, Lander University. I believe his name's Huntsberger.
Yeah.
So he'll be a really good one to watch. Alex Cotto always does a really, really good job. He's really tough for us. Reese Jones, Kendall Norfleet, Trey Morissette, Geo Jackson, Anthony Lowe. I could go on and on. Our two heavyweights, Gabriel Jacobs is a two-time All-American for Southeastern. He technically redshirted last year too, graduated, and so he's in his master's program. So we're pretty excited about him as well.
Coach, you mentioned the young man who wrestled the gentleman from Lander. I know you guys have a somewhat of a rivalry with them.
Yeah,
When
absolutely.
when is that date coming up? Is that in January?
Yes, I believe. I should know that. I'm so scramble brained right now that I couldn't even tell you, but I believe we do wrestle them here in January or late December.
Okay. Jim, we might have to you come up from Florida, I come down from South Carolina.
Meet in the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a
Yeah.
good one for sure. They're real tough this year,
Yeah.
so we're pretty excited.
Coach, what are some of the other key dates to keep an eye on?
I would say definitely this weekend. The November 22nd is going to be a really, really good one. National duels, that Lander duel, off the top of my head, I can't give you the key dates because I should know that, but I don't. But yeah, I would say those. I think Lander would be a really good duel. I think that Southeastern duel on that backside of the year of January, that'll be a good one too. Southeastern's done a phenomenal job, recruiting a pretty good darn, recruiting class, and we have to go duel them in their house, and so we're pretty excited about that as well. So.
So we know Life has really established themselves as a powerhouse in NAIA. What's different this year?
I would say, our culture has really, really shifted. We're super excited about this class, and we put a lot of time and effort and recruiting, high character individuals that happen to be really good at wrestling too. But more importantly, love wrestling. So we really shifted our focus to recruit individuals from high character, and more importantly, do you love wrestling? That's very, very, very important to us and in all of our recruiting pitches. That whole process is very important to us. We want guys that love the sport because it is hard, So I'd say the biggest difference would be that, that true shift in culture, and we're super excited about it.
I love that hearing guys that love wrestling because when I did it back in the day, it seemed like I was the only one who loved it in the room, and there was a lot of guys that were miserable, and it was always like, "Why are you here then? We get to do this. You don't have to do this. It's a choice." And I think a lot of that shift has come with weight management and different things like that in terms of not people not cutting as much weight as they maybe used to back in the day.
Yeah.
But I just could never understand why there were so many people that just didn't seem in love with what they were doing.
No, for sure. And I think wrestling is one of those sports. I like to call it the meanest ex-girlfriend you're ever going to have. She doesn't care about how much time, effort you put in. You're never guaranteed anything, so you have to put your hand out and take it. You earn your luck.
Yeah.
Coach, what does your day-to-day as the associate head coach look like?
Day to day, I mean, heck, you name it. I'm a counselor. I'm a associate head wrestling coach. I'm a father. I'm a gentleman that wears quite a few hats. And have to wear quite a few different faces. And we run a very competitive program that's ultimately nonstop. I joined this program after spending about 4 years at Ottawa University and in Ottawa, Kansas. Had a couple really successful years there. And to be honest with you, I thought it was going to be easier. Coming to the ATL from a location standpoint, what you're selling, all that good stuff. Now, recruiting is definitely easier, but every other day to day, you name it's a grind, it's a hustle, every single week.
So you mentioned you thought it was gonna be easier, but it's still a grind every day. It's a hustle. What are some of the things that really, man, I didn't think this was gonna be that hard.
I would say just
The humidity.
yeah. No, the traffic,
Yeah, the
the
traffic.
humidity don't scare me too much. The traffic is a different monster, but
Mm.
I would just say, majority every guy in our wrestling room is very, very, very excited to be there. And I think in years past, we'd had individuals that, at the prior universities that weren't necessarily happy to be there. And just being grateful, in every facet. I think that's very, very important. But things that were difficult was just, the day to day. We do have a relatively larger roster across the NAIA, and two men crushing that day-to-day stuff, and the little kids tournaments, our own tournaments that we run, that never stops, right? So you leave on a Friday, yeah, you wrestle all day Saturday, and then that Sunday, once you get back, I mean, we're right back at it running a kids freestyle state. So that stuff kind of adds up after a while. So you don't really get any time to reset. Usually Sundays is kind of your time in the past, anyways, where you can just psychologically be a rock on the couch and not do much and snuggle with the dog and play with the kids. But not here at Life U. It's a constant grind, and don't think for 1 minute I'm complaining because I absolutely love it. I love staying busy.
Coach, you mentioned that large roster. I imagine it's pretty diverse in terms of where wrestlers are coming from. Um, do you get some good healthy trash talk amongst the wrestlers from the different states?
Absolutely. I would
Yeah.
say that one of the coolest things about here at Life U is, it's exactly what you said. We have a very, very, very large roster and the demographic is across the country. We have different countries that have represented us in the past, from Germany to Serbia, the Cali boys, and then the Miami boys. We have quite a few California boys too as well. But we have individuals from all over, from the Midwest to up north to Washington State to New Mexico. I mean, you name it, it's across the board. And so every place kind of thinks their state's the best for the most part. But yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of that for sure. Absolutely.
You have any Jersey guys on the roster?
Off the top of my head, we do. We actually have Junior Amato. And Junior Amato's little brother is Sonny Amato that just signed at University of Iowa.
Hmm.
So he's coached by Eleazar DeLuca. He comes out of that club, the Dragon RTC.
Yep.
They do a really, really good job. It was a branch off kind of that Bergen Catholic, and then he kind of went and did his own thing. I know he was there for a while, has a pretty good relationship. But I actually went to Clackamas with Eleazar. He's one of my best friends, and he told me about Junior and kind of getting into his room. And I know his room, his high school team went from probably one of the worst high school teams in the state, and they placed, I believe, like top three in their first year. So pretty excited on kind of that recruiting trail and that relationship just in general, because those Jersey boys are a little harder to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What do you
Coach,
think
you,
that is? Sorry,
sorry,
Jim.
Rich.
What do you think that is? Why is it hard to get those Jersey guys? Is it because Jimmy and I are both from Jersey, so we're junior college guys, so we know the stigma that's around the junior college experience in Jersey. Is it the Division One and the stigma of the Division Two or the NAI, or is it just maybe going that far south?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with just that Lehigh Valley
Hmm.
in general. I mean, heck, you got seven schools all within an hour of each other, for the most part. I don't know that for sure, but I know they're pretty stinking close. And so the level of wrestling is a little higher, up there. And then you have some pretty strong Division threes that, do a really good job up there. NAIA is kind of that branch where it gets kind of overlooked at times, but I know I'm biased, because our rules are a little bit different. We have quite a few, different kickbacks that we get in every facet that are going to be eligible. And I believe we're deeper than a lot of other divisions, because we can bring, two per weight and bring 12 to the national tournament. So I think that's what's really unique for our division, and more importantly, it protects the experience. To a certain extent, we can recruit, two heavyweights that are really, really stinking good,
Hmm.
and they probably will wrestle each other, at the national finals or something like that. I know in the programs that I've been on in the past, being a Grandview guy, we brought multiple weights all the time, even my senior year. So I'm a fan of that. A firm believer, iron sharpens iron, and we want to create, the toughest environment, possible. So.
Coach, in the recruiting process, do you have to educate kids on the NAIA?
Sometimes I think we've done such a good job, through our social media. Coach O is, the master at what he does, and he is just a flatline hustler. He has put Life University on this map, and he's kind of controlled the South, to a certain extent, and really brought a lot of light to that. And so yeah, I would say yes and no. I mean, it really depends. But majority of the time they've heard of us. So,
Yes, you guys do a very good job with the social media. That's something Rich and I really pay attention to with the college programs, obviously, because what we do with the podcast. And when we see teams that are making their own content, putting their own content out there, Rich and I are like, they get it. They get it.
It's not something I like doing, I'll tell you that. I'm not the biggest social media individual, but Coach O, he's really done a good job, and now he's making me get in front of the camera, and I can't just wing it like him. I got to be a little bit more prepared, a little bit more calculated.
When it comes to recruiting, obviously that's a resource. Are you having phone calls with kids? Are you reaching out to them on social media? We know it's different nowadays. How do you guys handle that?
I'm old school. I'll tell you that right now. I cold call guys. I lift over rocks, and I'll call their parents straight up. I don't usually follow up with a text. I usually call first, then I'll follow up with a text, but not really a social media guy. I think it means a little bit more trying to get on the phone with them and navigate those conversations. And I think I do better. I'm not a texter. I don't want to sit here and text you all day and watch your videos online. I want to get to know you. I want to hear it through your voice. I want to, kind of see what you're all about for sure. So, phone call guy, absolutely, face to face.
Is it hard to get kids on the phone these days?
Not if you call them enough.
Yeah.
You just pick up that phone and keep dialing until they answer. So, and if I can't get a hold of them, I'll get a hold of their coach, I'll get a hold of their parents, and I'll navigate it from there. So.
That's your mindset, getting the podcast scheduled, Jim.
Yes, man. Stop mailing. Keep on emails.
Coach, we just had Grant on from Grandview, Grant Henderson.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was my college teammate. Great, great individual.
So, what's going to take to take down Grandview this year?
Quite a few people have been talking about that, and I think it's just ultimately, comes down to, just trust in the process. Continuing to grind and put our head down and not really worry about kind of what's on that pedestal and what's on that other side. We don't really try to put a huge emphasis on trying to win a national
Mhm.
title. Our emphasis is trying to work as hard as we possibly can, and try to dominate every aspect.
You guys also have a club team as well. You guys did really well at the NCAA Nationals last year.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we do. Coach O has had quite a few individuals that have come through this program and, didn't necessarily have a shot at a postseason. They were right on that line. And, he came up with this wonderful idea of, hey, what if we send a team to, NCAA Nationals? Because their rule set's a little bit different than, ours, and you can actually qualify, I believe, up to 22 for that national tournament. And then it gives guys, a competitive, experience early on. If they can't, quite make it, on the NAIA team, they're still getting a championship, type of experience. And then, more importantly, individuals that have been in the program, for 4 years and, they finally get a crack at it. So we're super excited. We want to dominate that too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And are the athletes in the room at the same time?
No, not
Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah. Okay.
So we split practices and stuff like that.
I'd imagine you probably have to with the roster that size.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Rich, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Coach, sorry about that. My internet is kicking my butt right now. But is there anything about the program that we haven't covered that you want our audience to know about life wrestling?
Um, I don't know, not off the top of my head. I mean, I think I think for the most part, I think our wrestling, speaks for itself, and it is relationship driven. That's extremely important to us. And at the end of the day, I don't know if I'm a good coach until, 5 years, 10 years down the road, when these young men become husbands, when they, become fathers, when they're able to kind of pass down those same messages that were, ultimately passed down to them through the sport. And, we want to give them the tools and resources that weathers them for, what life truly entails. And that's nobody cares. Unfortunately, that's the harsh reality of it. Unless you get a boss that possibly wrestled, this being such a small sport, there's a lot of glory that comes with it, and it is small, but there's always going to be somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, and you're like, whoa, oh my gosh, how did that happen? But I think that's our ultimate goal. When I think wrestling creates, that environment that helps and shapes and molds you into the version that you're gonna eventually become, and that's from my mentors, in the past that have spoke about it, and Mill Boy at Wartburg talking about do it anyway. Well, I mean it's true, do it anyway. That little stuff is, I think, typically as a coach, you're going to be a slight reflection of who your mentors were to a certain extent, and so I mimic, quite a few, stuff that I've learned over the years, from Coach Mitchell and Coach Reedy and, even his coach as well, and my high school coaches and all that good stuff. So it comes full circle.
Coach, you nailed it. I think that's what wrestling's about, right? We care so much about the wins and losses when we're in it, but really when we get out of it, no one cares about what we did, but it's that character and work ethic that we take from it that makes us champions in life. So thank you for that.
No problem. Absolutely. Creates a layer of toughness that you get to carry for the rest of your life. And then you can just be like every old, other dad that just lies about his, high school resume anyway. So,
No
yeah,
way.
I was a
No,
two-time national champ.
we earned it, coach. We earned our stats, right?
All right. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time tonight. Best of luck with the team for the rest of the season. We'll be watching.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Take care.
Have a good one, Coach. Enjoy your Thanksgiving.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Coach Travis Patrick from Southeastern University is joining us again.
How you
Coach
doing?
Patrick, how we doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Awesome. Great to see you again. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So, Coach, how has the season been treating you so far?
It's good. I mean, being down here in Central Florida, like we're traveling quite a bit in the month of November, so we're kind of in the thick of it right now. And week one, we sent some guys up to Kentucky to compete in the Patriot Open, and took another group to Virginia to compete in Virginia Tech's Open. And then following week, we had a duel at Reinhardt in Georgia, hit the Georgia Open in the manual, and then last week we were at Kaiser on the road. So, and then we're back up at Life this weekend. So it'll be good. Thanksgiving break will be a nice kind of breath of fresh air before we hit it again hard in December.
Road Warriors.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely build a little bit of capacity in November, and then thankfully our schedule's got us at home for the whole month of December.
Oh, nice.
Coach, who are some of the key wrestlers we need to keep an eye on this year?
Yeah, man, we got a good crop of returners and that came back from our team last year, and we brought in some guys and some studs that I'm excited about. But I'll talk about our returners real quick, and I mean, can't go much further than Aaron Lucio at 133, and he took third for us last year, and he leads the way in the room, and excited to see him pursue a national title this year. I know there's some tough guys to wait, but not a lot tougher than him. 41. We'll have Andrew Voiles back. He was a two-time All-American at 33, and he'll be moving up a weight class this year for us. And so we'll have two guys there. Drew Jones was a qualifier for us, and he's back at the weight. 49, we got Mario De La Torre. He took fifth last year at the weight, and he's got one more year for us, and excited for him. 165, we'll get excited to get Anthony Federico back in the lineup. He took sixth for us last year at 165, and he won't be back in the lineup for us till second semester, but he'll be a great addition. And then we got Gentry Smith at 197 that took sixth for us as well, that he's back, and man, he's going to wrestle this week, and excited to see him get going. So outside of that, we brought in a couple guys that are going to be big impact guys on our lineup. Brought in Caston Grape. He was a two-time All-American for Doane, and had a year left and pursuing a grad degree, and so came over to us, and he's been great in the room. So having two returning All-Americans at 97 is pretty cool, and they get to work together. And then Castle stick around and help coach and help Gentry pursue a national title next year. And then we brought in Jovan Mitchell, and he's been doing really well for us. Was a national qualifier a couple years ago and was at Grandview last year and had a good year. And then once again, had a year left and was looking to pursue a grad degree and came over. So they've all been, I mean, they've just been injected some juice into the middle of our lineup.
Coach, how have in terms of the early tournaments and those sorts of things, have you guys been able to solidify the lineup pretty solid as we head into December?
Yeah, we're still working on getting a couple guys healthy, but overall, yeah, we've got a pretty solid lineup, and we got a pretty dual heavy schedule in December, but we've been able to square that away pretty well. Just a couple weights, I'd say 125, 157. We're kind of still looking. We got some couple guys that just this weekend will be a good test to kind of see who steps up and separates himself.
They said they're looking at about 700 athletes at the Life Open this weekend.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, it's always a good tournament, and I'm excited for their new venue out in Douglasville. I think that's going to help it run a little bit smoother and get us out of there a little earlier. But I mean, yeah, we got, I was talking to my buddy Tuck earlier that I wrestled with at Southern Oregon, and they're bringing a group out as well, and they're ranked their top 10 team, and so yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
When do the conference duels start for you?
We've already had two. So we had
Okay.
Reinhardt on the 8th at Reinhardt, and then we had Kaiser this past Thursday. So performed well. We took 8 of 10 matches in both of those. And we still got a lot to work on. So I kind of left both those feeling like we could have won all 10. And obviously some things to clean up with the guys even the guys that won. But yeah, they wrestled really, really well. And then we got another conference duel coming up the start of December when we get back from Thanksgiving.
Coach, you said obviously you don't want to give the secrets away to the other coaches or the fans listening, but you said that the guys have a lot to work on. Is it technique? Is it conditioning? Is it a little bit of both?
I mean, you can always, you're not going to be in postseason shape right now. So I think that comes with time. I feel like for this point in the season, I think we're in pretty good shape. I think technically it's a lot of just being a little bit more positionally sound for some of our returners and continue to hammer on that. But just some of our new guys continuing to just install some of the stuff that we want to do well. Everybody's probably got a little bit different thing that we're focused on when we get into some of our individual work.
So you mentioned some of those new guys kind of buying into what you guys do well. Do you think you have a system, or do you just try to add to what the kids bring to the table?
I'd say both. I think, yeah, we're not going to bring a guy in and try to drastically change him, right? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. I think we want to add to what he does well. We got some guys that are a little funkier and maybe wrestle from space, and we got some guys that are a little stronger and hands-on and a little bit more of a grinder. So we're not going to try to make those guys wrestle the same. Like, we're going to take what they do and let's try to add some things to it and strengthen their weaknesses a little bit and add to their strengths. So, but I think we have just certain things positionally that we kind of are, non-negotiables that we teach everybody no matter their style, that we want to be sound in, and then try to make them a well-rounded wrestler.
Coach, the team's ranked number 3 right now. You guys have been in that mix for, I don't know, 6, 7 years. What do you think it's going to take this year to get to the top of the podium?
Yeah, I mean, staying healthy obviously is a big part of it. I think we got a team that can make a run at it. And it's just year in, year out, it's just bringing in the right guys that see the same vision and the same mission and buy into that. And I think we've done that. It's just kind of breaking through. So we got a lot of guys, I think, that can wrestle and love wrestling and are training hard and doing the right things right now. We just got to stay healthy down the stretch, and I think we'll peak them at the right time and just kind of see where the cards fall. Ultimately, we can't control that outcome. All we can do is just try to see how good we can be on a daily basis and keep building, and the results will happen at the end of the year.
Coach, we were just talking to Coach Laden from Life about, guys loving wrestling. And I was saying how, back in 94 when I was doing it, there wasn't many people in the room that love wrestling, but it seems like that's a common thing more and more and more that we hear. What do you think is a tribute to that shift of, or maybe it's just being at a high level everyone, you have to love it to be in it. Maybe that's not the case at the high school level, but it just seems like that's more and more the case where you're hearing guys talking about loving it and loving the process and all that. What is that nowadays that's got guys on that tip?
Yeah, I definitely think it's refreshing. I mean, I think even from when I was in high school and college, it was still kind of that you love the grind and you love the fight, which is definitely a part of it. But I think more you're seeing the high level guys love the craft and coming in and refining positions and working through some stuff. And obviously, there's always the grind and the fight aspect of wrestling. It's one of the things that makes it great. But yeah, I think it's just wrestling is a little cyclical and it evolves and you're always going to kind of follow what top guys are doing. And I think Penn State's obviously set a great model for some of that. And I think that's kind of set the standard and has trickled down a little bit to the different divisions, just that different approach. And realize I think you're going to get a better quality of wrestling if the guys are loving what they do. It doesn't mean that you're coming in playing games every day, but it's a focus on being better in positions. Like we'll get stronger, like we'll get in better shape. We wrestle hard when we wrestle, but just not just doing hard drilling like we're doing sparring, we're doing play wrestling, we're exploring positions and talking through them, just being a little bit more creative. I think it makes a little bit more of a fun atmosphere at practice and keeps the guys more engaged as well.
Are the young guys coming in nowadays too? They understand and know how to do things like sparring and play wrestling. Is that just more commonplace as well?
I think so. I think even in the recent years, the more guys who we get in, that's more of a common word that's being thrown around. So we still have to teach some of them, some of the guys that come in that maybe didn't get out as much in high school, or maybe they're just more of a stiff individual that they don't quite feel it as much. You maybe need to get your hands on them or kind of take a little bit longer. But I think it is much more common. These guys understand that verbiage and they're able to pick it up a lot faster.
Coach, being in Central Florida and being the top team in Florida, do you guys feel that you guys are the top pick for some of the top Florida recruits?
I think we're always fighting to keep those top Florida recruits, right? And so Kaiser and St. Thomas are both doing a great job, and they get some of the tough kids as well. But I think it helps us, right? I think the success we've had, and I think our campus is beautiful, and the facilities we have help. A lot of the guys, I feel like sometimes we're recruiting against some of the SoCon teams, Division I, and some of it becomes a decision on whether they have Division I dreams and want to chase that, or they want to stay home in Florida. So I think that's kind of the fight that we fight. Recruiting against the Campbells and the Gardner Webbs, and some of the teams like that. They would be great for us as freshmen. They end up going on to have great careers at those schools as well. But those are a lot of the guys we're looking at too.
When you're having conversations with those guys, what are some of the things you doesn't matter at the end of the day, you're gonna get to wrestle in college. Are they able to kind of take it in, or are kids just so locked in on that NCAA Division I?
Yeah, I think it depends on the kid, and kind of what their fit is, and that's one of the things that they will talk about. It's like you just got to find the right fit. And we get them on a visit. If they're a good fit for us, like we want them here, but we talk with them about just finding the non-negotiables and what they're looking for in a school. And some kids get so caught up in the Division I that maybe they make the wrong decision just because it's a Division I, and we'll end up talking to them a few years later. But if it's the right fit, like I'm not going to ever knock them for that. If going to one of those other schools is the right fit for them and it gives them the opportunity that they want, then I'll bless them on their way out there to do that. But if a little smaller school and a little smaller class sizes and a more close-knit environment is going to be a positive fit for them, like we want to make it clear that, hey, I think this is where you belong and this is where you're going to grow and thrive.
Coach, you bet you got some transfers coming in from some other NAIA schools. What was obviously the room is amazing, the weather's amazing. Was there any other aspects to Southeastern that drew those guys into you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think just our culture of our program, and I know every coach preaches culture and kind of what believes in what they got going on, but I just think our intentional aspect of developing the culture and in the atmosphere in our team and pouring into our guys off the mat as well, right? Like we're talking about kind of who they want to become in this process, and winning a national title and becoming an All-American is great, and that's part of it. But we talk a lot about who they're becoming in the process, and we want to create men that are the kind of guy that can win a national title. The reality is we got 45 guys on the team, and not all those guys can be an All-American and win a national title, but they can all become the type of person that can do that. They can be a great father and a husband and a great businessman when they leave here. And if we develop them holistically in that way, like they're going to become a better wrestler in that process as well. So I think we're just really upfront with that. And I think it creates a really positive atmosphere of guys that are once again on the same mission, and the right guys see that and want to be a part of it.
Coach, is there anything about this year's team and the program that we haven't covered that you want the audience to know?
Yeah, I mean, I think we got an interesting mix of, we got some guys that have done it before and are we got 6 returning All-Americans on the roster that are hungry to keep climbing, right? None of them have won a national title last year. And so, I think we got a really hungry group, and that's bleeding down into some of our young guys. So I'm excited to see. I think we got some young guys that maybe aren't really known yet. Maybe some of them cracked the rankings. A lot of them haven't yet. That I think you're going to be in the picture down the road and help our program continue to grow. So, we got a couple guys that redshirted last year, and Ty Rodriguez and August Batson that, are kind of just getting their feet going this year. And I think they're going to do really well down the stretch for us as well.
You mentioned those 6 returning All-Americans. How do you have guys that come back that are All-Americans? Obviously, you said they haven't been national champs yet, so they're still hungry to win. But I would assume wrestling against other NAIA guys, there's pressure there. How do you get them to wrestle without pressure?
Sure. I think that's just keeping everything in perspective. There's obviously a target on your back a little bit. Lucio's ranked number 1. We got a couple other guys in the top 5, and everybody's gonna be gunning for you. And you have an off match, and you take a loss. Like, of course, they're gonna be celebrating, right? There's not a lot of where to grow, and go up as far as rankings wise. But that's where, like, we just get them not to focus on the rankings. That's just a number. It's for the fans to see, and that's great. And our athletic department can celebrate that. But for our guys, it's just the daily disciplines and being intentional about getting a little bit better every day. And that's where I think the love of wrestling comes in. If you just love winning, it's a long season, because you really only get to really have the big win one time. And if you don't achieve it, then there you go, man, what was that about?
Mm-hmm.
I put the whole thing and maybe I took 5th, right? Or maybe I was an All-American, or maybe I fell short of the podium or took 2nd, whatever it may be. There's a lot of places you can take besides 1st. And if that's your only goal, the whole season, you're just thinking about being a national champ. Like, it can be a long season. There's a lot of pressure. But if we just go out there and we go, okay, let's test ourselves when we get into this tournament, like, okay, win or lose, like, okay, we go back to the drawing board and we continue to get better. And I think that it's easier. Like, we talk about kind of chunking up our season, right? We got a, another week training block here before we hit Thanksgiving. And then we got another training block to get ready for some of our duels at home. And then, then it's focused on national duels and just kind of working through those things as a team. It's easier to kind of focus on the little victories in the season instead of being worried about what happens in March.
Amen, Coach. I could use that in 2009. I appreciate those words.
I could have as well.
Yeah. Coach, it was great chatting with you this evening. I'm down here in Lake Mary, Florida now, so don't be surprised if you see me show up at a duel, 1 or 2 duels this year. I'm gonna make a point to get out.
Please do come by and practice and watch. We'd love to have you.
Awesome. Well, it was great talking to you, catching up. Best of luck with the rest of the season. We will be following. We will be rooting.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Coach, good luck this weekend. Enjoy your Thanksgiving.
All right. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are closing it out tonight with Thomas Pompei from Indiana Tech.
Coach, how we doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Awesome. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
How's the season treating you so far?
It's rolling. It's we're in the zone, right? It's one week after the other, but everything's going pretty smooth so far. So we're off to a pretty good start. Pretty excited about the year.
What were some of the first competitions you guys had so far this year?
Started off at the Pepsi Patriot Open at the University of Cumberland. So that was a banger out the gate. That was tough. Got our new guys some experience there. And then we've stayed pretty local the past 2 weeks. We were at Trine, which pretty decent tournament. They saw some good Division III schools there. And then Findlay was tough this past week. A lot of really good Division II schools, some D1 guys all around. So testing ourselves kind of early in some opens, getting our guys matches. Just kind of seeing how good we are right now and figuring out what we need to get better at. And then we roll into the WAC Super Duels this week.
Coach, how many returners do you have in the lineup? How many newcomers you got?
Then we got about, on the team, probably about 25 returners and about 15 new guys. Most of our starting lineup is returners, but a couple of our young guys have started to make their way into the rankings and into the lineup. Marlon Kirksey being one of them, a freshman, and a couple other younger guys in there as well. So kind of excited for our new guys coming in, but our old guys are taking care of business right now. So it's fun to watch.
Is the lineup, obviously things happen throughout the season, but is the starting lineup pretty solidified at this point?
Yeah, I think there's, we definitely have probably a couple weights that were 2 or 3 guys deep, and those guys will start working out some battles. At 25, we have a returning 2-time All-American who's really tough, and he's coming off of surgery, and he's pushed every day by the other 4 guys we got. And the Heisey brothers, the Heisey twins, they're right in the mix too. So it's good problems to have at that weight, and heavyweight's kind of the same. 3-4 guys pushing each other on a daily basis, but it's starting to come together, which is great. And I think we're going to see a little bit more of it this weekend as we wrestle some duels.
You have twins at the same weight?
Yeah, 125. Yeah.
What's that like?
It's fun. They both very different. I mean, they wrestle hard. They're great kids. They're great students. We're very fortunate to have them. They're getting master's degrees this year and graduating in 4 years. But they like to scream. So it's fun. And it's you never know. Sometimes we think we know which one's better, and then we don't. So, but they're great people.
Does it get chippy at all?
No. I wish it did sometimes.
Yeah, Rich and I have been known not to be allowed to train together and wrestle and in jiu-jitsu.
That's how our last set of twins was with the Gibsons. We couldn't let them wrestle. It was bad.
Yeah, we might have had an incident once at the jiu-jitsu gym, and the owner's girlfriend was like, "Are you gonna separate those two?" And the owner was like, "Oh no, they're brothers. They're fine."
We'll figure it out.
Coach, what were some of the key takeaways from those first competitions?
We spent October trying to prepare to get ready, and just seeing those tournaments and what we had to get better at. And what I've been proud of my guys the past couple of weeks is like we've been actually listening and getting better at the things we've been focused on. We just had to get, maybe it's cliche, getting tougher in some situations and being grittier in some situations, especially with counters. And when you're young, it's maybe you stop wrestling too early, especially on the edge, and just trying to evolve and get better. So a lot of learning the first couple weeks everywhere, right? Everyone's got to get better right now. And just been proud of, the past couple weeks of doing what we've been practicing and trying to change and adapt in our tournaments. So our hand fights got to get better. Our leg attacks got to get better. But that's why we go wrestle a tough competition, early on. And, we're not trying to win nationals right now. We're trying to get better and figure out how good we can be.
So not to get too inside wrestling, but when you said the leg attacks need to get better, is it more setups or is it?
Yeah. We're working better angles, and we're working our chain wrestling ability and getting the legs and finishing quicker. And everyone's a little bit different. Everyone's right. We're at different places with some of the guys on the team, and but that was a big one, countering harder. And like I said, from the first week to the third, I think we just battled harder in every position, on bottom, on our feet, off our back, wherever it was. Just like we've had more fight the past 2 weeks, which was great to see. It gives us a lot of confidence moving forward.
What do you think that fight comes from?
Sometimes getting yelled at in the practice room. sometimes experience it. I think, you go to that first 2 competitions and you really start to see, and you get exposed a little bit, and that's great early on. And so just trying to put them in as many tough situations in the room as possible, so it becomes easy on Saturday. And, sometimes I feel like maybe the most basic, simplest middle school drill sometimes will kind of flip their script and get them going again, and realizing like wrestling doesn't change a whole lot. It's got to be better at the best and the simplest positions.
Absolutely.
It's about doing the simple things well.
Absolutely.
Coach, you mentioned the conference dual tournament this weekend coming up. You guys will have a dual schedule as well for the conference.
Yeah, so we have 8 teams in our conference in the WAC, and this weekend we'll all be together, and everyone's going to get 4 to 5 matches. So we're going to knock out a bulk of our duels on the year, which will just help some of our teams with traveling and not having to schedule all the duels. So we'll wrestle Cleary, Rochester, Siena Heights, Cornerstone, and Defiance this weekend. So we'll knock out 5 duels, which will leave us a home and away later in the year with Lords and Marion. So we'll get a chance to see some good competition in our conference right away, and should be a lot of great crossover results and just a good day of wrestling as we go into our first small break.
Will guys stick around for break, or are they going to head home and recharge the batteries a little bit?
Yeah, we'll give them a few days off for sure. They'll go home and enjoy. We actually host a youth wrestling tournament the Sunday right after Thanksgiving. So that's what we'll come back for, and we'll set up for that. And our guys will officiate and put on a great tournament for the public and giving back to wrestling around us. So that'll be kind of the next thing we'll do, and then, back at it and get ready for the next tournament.
Go ahead, Jim.
Coach, when it comes to recruiting, what are some of the key attributes you're looking for in recruits?
Looking for, obviously a good student. We pride ourselves on academics. We've done very well over the last decade academically. So just finding a good student athlete. We got some niche majors. So, finding some engineers and finding some cybersecurity guys, and that goes a long way. And for us, probably our number one thing, like we look for a hard worker, confident in our staff, and we do a good job of making guys better and preparing them. So we find a guy who wants to work hard and is hungry. Like those guys go a long way. I feel like over the last 15 years, we've done a really good job with above average wrestlers that are hungry and want to get better and have reached that next peak and have won national championships that maybe weren't the best in high school, but their ceiling was still high, and they work their tail off every day. So hard work, we go a long way with that. A good student, and just kind of looking at if we actually judge the wrestling, what we think is going to translate well to college, and just pinpointing those things when we're looking at recruits, and just figuring out who get along with our team and make our program better. Kind of the basic things that we're always looking for.
With those niche majors, do you feel that recruits are coming to you?
Yeah, it's definitely helpful. We get a lot of guys who reach out that are looking for, specifically engineering. We have a slew of engineering majors, and there's not a lot of programs out there, especially lower level, that these guys can find a good wrestling program and a really good engineering degree. So we do find now guys who want to be mechanical and biomedical engineering majors and cybersecurity majors and electrical engineers and everything along those lines. So it is kind of cool that we get put on some radars and just about having a chance with some high level recruits because of what they want to do after. And we tell them, like, we pride ourselves on doing well academically, and winning academic awards is cool, and we want to be the best program we can be on and off the mat.
With those niche majors, are you getting recruits from all over outside the Midwest?
Yeah. I think drawn from, a couple of guys like from Georgia. They came here for engineering, and Maine and all over. And then even relatively locally to our Eric Vermillion, pretty recent 2-time national champ for us. Like, he came for engineering, and he got his undergrad and master's in engineering as well. And, these guys come for, these majors that are the future. And so they're coming for the engineering and the, all the computer science stuff.
What's the key to balancing such a hard academic workload and the grind of being a wrestler?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, like if being a wrestler, I think prepares them for that. So you obviously got to be smart and you got to handle the coursework's difficult. But as I kind of tell all of them and warn them, like, it's going to be hard, but if you work hard in wrestling, we know you're going to work hard in the classroom, and vice versa, because how you do one thing is probably how you're going to do everything. But It does require extra work. It requires extra study hall hours. It requires extra lab time. It requires extra meetings with professors, and just knowing that When you're trying to balance everything, we've got to set as much time aside for school and focus on wrestling when it's wrestling time, and when it's not wrestling time, focus on school. And but like I said, those guys who excel in those majors normally do pretty well in wrestling because they just know how to work hard.
Yeah, sometimes when you have kids with those high academic standards, sometimes they're too smart for their own good.
Yeah.
You get that a little bit in the wrestling room. Maybe they're
Absolutely.
overthinking some things.
Yeah, absolutely. They're always analyzing. So I simplify the wrestling part of it a little bit, but that's how they work.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because we're from New Jersey, where there's only one state champion. Is Indiana still one state champion?
Yeah, there's one state champ. No real wrestlebacks. 4-week state tournament there. No classes, just one state champ.
And so you have to get to the semifinals to get third, or no?
Yeah, at the regional and the semi-state, you have to win your first match and then first 2 matches just to make it. So if you lose first round at those tournaments, you don't place. Our state tournament is a 16-man bracket, and the first round's Friday night. And if you lose Friday night, you don't place. So the top 8 guys come back Saturday and wrestle, and you have to make the semifinals to get third. So if you lose Saturday morning, the best you can get is 5th. So it's a tough tournament, tough system.
Tough tournament. Why do you think it is though that when we're talking top 5 high school wrestling states, maybe sometimes Indiana is overlooked? Why is that with such a tough grind?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was having this conversation the other day. I don't know a lot of states where maybe the discrepancy between 2 schools, like we got schools with 5,000 plus kids and less than 400 kids, and it's crazy that there's that big and it's one class. But I do think, if you're in Indiana, you know the kids who make it a semi-state, or the kids that are pretty good. But if you're an outsider looking in, you go, well, that guy didn't make the state tournament. Like, he's probably not good, but he probably is, because there are no wrestlebacks. So it's not seeded anywhere. It's just random draws. There's years where the top 3 guys in the state all come from the same area, and one of them's getting left behind. So just kind of, luckily for us being in Indiana, knowing the ins and outs and seeing it up close, we know who's good. But I do think some kids maybe get off coaches' radars because of he didn't make it a state, and then the next year he goes off and does really well. It's just luck of the draw sometimes, but it's tough.
Do you still see from time to time those kids from those like 400, 500 size schools coming through and making it to the top?
Yeah. And, you make your own luck sometimes. And if you train hard and you've been wrestling your whole life and go out and find good training, you're going to do well. One of our second national champ, and he's a head coach of a high school now. Like, I don't know the exact numbers, but he came from like a 1A high school, like one of the smaller ones in the state. And we've seen some really good guys emerge from some of these smaller schools. It's funny because they're like unheard of until they finally make it, and then they're big time. But yeah, there's a lot of great clubs and academies around the state, and these guys are training and wrestling all the time. And I think Indiana, I think it is on the rise. We've had 2 really good summers out in Fargo and a pretty good Super 32 run. So all these coaches, high school coaches, club coaches, academy coaches, are doing a great job.
Rich, kind of sounds like when we had the super regions back in the day in Jersey.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Coach, I'm curious, and forgive me if I'm not looking at the right rankings, but you guys are ranked number 3 right now, correct?
Yep. Latest rankings ranked 3rd.
Yeah. All right. What's it going to take to get to the top this year?
We got to keep getting better. Got to get a little lucky, right? National tournament's always hard. I got, like I said, I'm up and down in the rankings. They're nice to the fans. 2 of our 3 best kids aren't in the rankings right now. They're recovering from surgery. So if they get in, that makes us better. But time will tell. So we'll see. But we got to put together a good national tournament, and that gets easier said than done. 3 days, tough, and just being able to show up. And I think we've put together a few good tournaments, and we just kind of got to get one more notch. We got to get a couple more guys. Last year we were right on the verge of a trophy. We had 3 guys losing the blood round. Like, just those are the matches you got to win and get those points. So, but I like our team. Our varsity best guys, our ranked guys, are a little bit older. They've had that experience. We got a handful of All-Americans and qualifiers and round of 12 guys in the lineup. And I think more confident they get and more reps we get over the next month or so, I'm hopeful, and then we're just going to keep preparing ourselves. We're going down to Florida in a couple weeks to wrestle top 2 team in the country, and another team that's probably going to be in the top 10, and just prepare ourselves for national duels. And more great matches we can get, the more prepared we can be for March.
Coach, you seem like when you see those rankings, you're like, man, they know about us. I wish we did have that.
Yeah, it's right. It's good and bad. Everyone's gonna wrestle you a little bit harder, and sometimes you wrestle a little bit more scared. You just gotta just like every week say like we're on the hunt. We got to go prove something. Like we're not, doesn't matter what we're ranked as a team. That's for the graphics. That's for the fans and the parents. Like doesn't matter if we're first, third, 30th. We're training the same way.
What do you think's different about this year's team?
Uh, Man, they've really come together. Leadership's been huge. Guys really stepping up. So that's always hit or miss, but we got some guys who are really taking charge, which is awesome. And I think we put a big emphasis this year on, one of our core standards and core values as team, and these guys just coming together more and, loving each other more and wanting to wrestle harder for each other. So, and every year is different. It's interesting. You do the same thing every year and you get different results, and you make changes and it's maybe not what you want. So it's kind of, letting it ride with these guys doing well. I would say like Nate Critchfield, being back for his senior year has been like a huge addition. Not only is he a good wrestler, but he's just an awesome human. And he's been a great leader on the team. And our young guys who are now getting older are leading, and it's been fun to watch. So,
Coach, we know that there is a little bit of luck that goes into that national tournament, and some of that is getting to that date, being healthy, not having any injuries. What's the key to keeping the guys healthy this season?
Yeah, we got to manage a little bit as you're older. You manage a little bit more. Being healthy, like we're definitely a little sore from the weekend. It was a hard tournament, so we got to get through these conference duels and taking breaks where we can. Like we'll have the Thanksgiving break where we can rest a little bit, and we only wrestle twice in December, so that'll give us some rest going into the holidays. We typically give them a pretty decent Christmas break to go, refresh and recharge, and that's just going to be about seeing where we're at in January, who needs the Missouri Valley invite, preparing for what's next, seeing who needs some matches. So I think you just got to know each individual guy on the team, figuring out what they need. Your freshman could probably wrestle a little bit more. Our 5th-year senior who's 23, 24 years old, like probably doesn't need a lot of matches. So just like making sure he's healthy and ready to go and try and win a national title. But yeah, just doing what we can and reading the temperature of the room and preparing our guys and giving breaks when needed. We rested a couple guys last week, even it's early, just to make sure we're healthy for this weekend. Designated breaks.
I think that's something that, I know as an older coach, I'm much more willing to call audibles on practice days when I see people are looking a little weary. But whereas, back in the day as a young coach, I was like, this is what it says on the schedule. This is what we got to do today.
we went really light yesterday. Today wasn't, super crazy. We got to get some work in the next 2 days. But yeah, it's just making adjustments every Monday. I think we do a great job of, our Monday is very individualized. We work on things from the weekend. It's not too intense. We're still kind of recovering from the Saturday thing. And then, we start getting into it Tuesday, Wednesday, and start tapering down Thursday into Friday and get ready to compete again.
Coach, is there anything about the team, this year's team, the program that we haven't covered that you want our audience to know?
It's kind of just talking about our group. We got a good group of guys. We're really proud of them. I always say we bring recruits in, like we're still a relatively new program. Much like many of the programs you probably had on tonight, it's funny kind of see that, and we're just trying to figure out how good we can be. And I think time will tell. And so we're just both in the classroom and on the wrestling mat. And but we love our group of guys, and they work really hard for us. That's never something we really got to worry about. Those guys will fight.
Coach, you said you're a relatively new program. Are you the first head coach there?
I was the second, but I've been here since the start. So this is year 15. I started 15 years ago when the program started as a graduate assistant. And then our head coach after 4 years was gone. And then, so I've been the head coach for this is season 11 now. So.
Rich, I got one last one for Coach if you don't have anything. What's it been like building the program?
Yeah, it's you make a lot of mistakes early, right? It's funny. So I hear Mike Moyer say that like every year, and I was yeah. And then I've been doing this for so long. I go, man, I would not have done half the things I did the first couple of years. Just like too hard, too intense. Didn't love them enough. All those little things. But yeah, I think the making adjustments every year, every day, every week, and as you get older, you start to ego goes aside and you go, I need to make adjustments. I need to make changes. So it's been cool to see the growth and, I think our first head coach and getting the program going and getting some success. And then from about 2016 on, those guys really started winning and everywhere and built some success and national recognition for our program. And, we're grateful for those guys. I've won no matches for this program. So, it's these guys that work hard and are getting the job done for us. So, but it's been fun to see the evolution over 15 years and how definitely would have done things differently at the beginning. And, I'm going to continue to keep doing things differently. Otherwise, we won't grow and we won't change. We'll just be the same every year. So that's the benefit of getting older. You get a little bit smarter, I guess.
Absolutely. Yep. I think that's the key to being a good coach is learning when you're young, you're dumb and you're super intense. And then as you get older, you're like, maybe I don't need to be so intense.
Yep. Being able to admit it's key.
Yeah.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Can't wait to follow the team. We will be watching. Best of luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. You have a good one.
Coach, good job this with everything you got going on so far. Best of luck this season and enjoy your Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You too. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our NAIA 2025-2026 Coaches Roundtable. We do appreciate the coaches that are joined us this evening. Coach Grant Henderson from Grandview University, Coach Jake Laden from Life, Coach Travis Patrick from Southeastern, and we just finished up with Thomas Pompei from Indiana Tech. We are excited for the NAIA season, as we are for all the seasons. So, yeah, we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you checking us out. That is it for us this week. We do appreciate you following along. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube. Make sure you click on that link. We are value for value. So if you're getting any value out of anything we're doing over here, you're finding some new programs. Hey, maybe you're finding a university for yourself. Give us a little bit of value back. We would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, much love from the Airey Bros.